Hello, moms and dads. Hello, children. Today I've been tempted to come out in the garden and do my story session by the apple tree. How is that? Okay, I hope you're all very well. Hope you're keeping very well, doing good listening. That's fantastic. Okay, today I'm going to start a brand new story, and it is another Anansi story. As I said before, Anansi stories were created centuries and centuries ago, so much so that even some of our relatives who sadly were enslaved into the new world took the Anansi stories with them. I know that the Anansi stories are in Jamaica and in the African American tradition as well. So here we are. Anansi was created as the hero and sometimes the villain. Sometimes he was a con man, sometimes he was very clever. And today's Anansi story is coming from a very, very long time ago. And the story says that Anansi lived in a village called Anansi Chrome. If you want to make it more worsty, you call it Anansiville. Anansi Chrome. And people in that village were very, very law-abiding. Everybody looked after one another. They did farming and fishing and wood carving. And the king was very pleased with all the people. And the king got the musicians and the poets in those days to create a poem that could be made into a song that children could learn to recite. And the poem goes something like this. Good thoughts are healthy. Good thoughts make you work hard. But ghastly thoughts defeat everything you do. So if any ghastly thought comes into your mind, throw it away immediately, because ghastly thoughts come to sabotage you. And so the people made sure that their thoughts were good. So Anansi and his wife had a very big farm, and they grew so many different vegetables. They grew cassava, cocoyam, potatoes, and they gave a little portion, they cut a little portion of the land for their 10-year-old son in Tikuma, so that he can start to learn how to grow vegetables. And in Tikuma's little plot of land, he grew some garden eggs, some peppers, some tomatoes, and other fruits. He very much liked papaya, which is, other people call it pawpaw. So he asked his dad if he can grow a pawpaw tree on his patch. And that pawpaw tree was growing very, very well. Anansi was a great farmer, but there was a law in the village. The law was that every time people harvested their crops, every member of that village has to send the very best of the harvest to the king's household. And so the king had the best of the crops, the best of the fruits, the best of everything. And that continued for a long time. But one day, while Anansi was watching his plants grow so beautifully, he could smell the ripening pineapples. Delicious. The avocado pear was bearing such beautiful, buttery fruits. And the cassava was doing well. Sadly, Anansi had a ghastly thought, which he didn't throw away from his mind. Anansi started thinking, why should the king have all the best from my farm? Why should I, who has labored and grown all this fruit, not eat the best of my farm? Why should I take the best to the king? You see, this was a ghastly thought because this was a tradition that has gone on for centuries. Why was Anansi thinking that way? Because nobody would even think about that. Plus, in the village, there was a very wicked medicine man. That medicine man had power to transform criminals into animals. And so if somebody went to another person's farm to steal cassava, for instance, the medicine man would cast a spell and turn that man into a goat. Oh dear. And so Anansi's wife would always remind Anansi and remind her family, we want to remain as human as we are. This medicine man is so cruel, he might just turn any of us even into a cockroach. If we did something wrong, that is. But if we stayed in the law and did exactly as the king commanded, we'll be okay. Anansi knew this, and therefore, when this ghastly thought came into his mind, even though he did not dismiss it straight away, he knew that it carried some grave consequences. He knew that even thinking about it could make the medicine man furious. This medicine man had everyone fearing what he could do. Even the king feared him, but he never showed it because he was the king. And so Anansi kept thinking about this ghastly thought. Then one day, whilst they were on the farm, he said to his wife, I want you to make me a promise. And his wife said, what promise? He said, just in case I died. And his wife said, why are you thinking about death? You are young, you are healthy, everything is going on well for us. Why are you thinking about death? And Anansi said, but nobody knows when death comes to knock on your door. I'm just thinking. And his wife said, that is a ghastly thought. You mustn't think like that, Anansi. But he said, I just want you to make me a simple promise. He said, what promise is it? He said, promise me. You know how much I love this farm? I've worked so hard over the years, kept this farm, and I grow the best crops in this farm. I love the farm so much that when I die, I would like you to tell the king that I would like to be buried on the farm. His wife chuckled and said, okay, let's get on with today's work. All right? Yes, I'll make you that promise. Let's get on with today's work. He said, what's going on in this man's mind? Why is he talking about death? Right, children, right, parents. Should we stop here and see what happens next week? Or should we just go on a little bit? Okay, we'll go on a little bit. Okay, so Anansi and his wife finished work on the farm. They took some of the crops home to really enjoy, the crops that are not harvested yet, like the little cassava that anybody can grow. And when they got home, Anansi said to his wife, look, I am so serious about what I said. It's in my heart. It's something that is burning in my heart. You see, you want to rest where you love most. I don't want you to bury me among all the people in the village cemetery. No. I want to be buried on my farm. That's where I feel at peace. And his wife said, okay. So Anansi said, so are you going to make that promise? And his wife said, all right, Miss Anansi, you are the boss. Whatever you say. And his wife kept thinking, my husband is not feeling well. There's something wrong. Why is he thinking like that? Okay, so we stop here now. And by next week, let's come together and find out What happens to Anansi and his ghastly thoughts? And remember, the poem was that good thoughts make you grow. Good thoughts make you productive. Good thoughts make you happy. Ghastly thoughts will sabotage you. Ghastly thoughts are to be dismissed immediately. Unfortunately, Anansi did not dismiss his ghastly thought. So children, remember this. Any ghastly thought that comes into your mind, dismiss it immediately. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you next week.